Great. Can you guys see us? We will see. Hold on, Steve, if you could talk while I go mute my camera and look.
Are you guys able to hear us?
So they can hear us.
I can see now. I just pulled up YouTube.
Okay.
I can only see.
Okay. That was so annoying. Can you still see everything?
Well, I had to pause it, but yeah.
Okay.
And they can hear, so we're good.
Okay, we're good. Okay. Well, I tweet it now. We'll start fresh, start over. Finish talking about best ball since nobody heard.
No idea what we said, but yes.
Yeah, we were excited talking for 10 minutes, but let's restart those 10 minutes. Football season's here. We're happy. I went on a rant of how happy I am about, I love best ball season and I can't wait for week 17 sweats, but now we get to try to make money every single week and almost every single day. So I'm so excited. I'm so bummed out that you didn't hear it. But at least you can hear us now. Steve, why don't you tweet this, you tell about the end of your best ball season as we start our in-season content.
You had asked how many best ball drafts I did, and I don't know the exact number on DraftKings, but it was like between 550 and 600 DraftKings drafts. I know it was just under 800 drafters drafts, and it was over 2,000 Underdog drafts, and that's everything. That's Superflex, that's pre-draft on all those sites. That's the rookie, sophomore, first quarter, marathon, sprint, et cetera, et cetera. So over 3,000 total drafts, and it's a lot. So but I enjoyed it, and this is what we wanted to do. We wanted to really just become a big presence in the basketball community, because we both believe in it. It's still in its infancy, and we believe that there's different ways to attack it with the different formats and find different edges. And we're excited that we can keep this going now with regular season content. And that's what you were talking about, is now we can, grind and win money basically every day of the week. So we're excited for that.
Yes. Okay. We are officially live now. Again, Mike had to remind me, breathe, because I couldn't believe that. I was so excited. I had such natural energy, and then it just like balloon pop, but that's okay. We're back again. I am so excited about the way we ended the best ball season, but now, like I said, in-season content started basically Monday, and you're going to have this Degen Power Hour every Monday and Thursday, covering DFS, DraftKings, Underdog Battle Royales, and bets on the island games. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go around the horn. DraftKings, a deeper look. Underdog, a deeper look. And then Thursday night football props and parlays. It will be a power hour of fun and excitement. I'm glad you guys can finally hear and see us now. Sorry for those tech difficulties. Again, getting business out of the way. Come out now that you can hear me. If you're coming in or if you're watching a replay, sorry for the first 10 minutes, hit that like button. We appreciate you. Make sure you're subscribed. Basically, we have content every single weekday and Saturdays for Substack members. We have a Substack show on Saturdays. And then for the Substack, there's content every single day. 3 or 4 days a week. It's going to be bets sent to you right after the show. We're going to send our Thursday night football bets. And then the other 3 days, Underdog and DFS. You're going to get something sent from us every single day. Hopefully we can win money together. And it's $34.99, not for the month, for the year. So a lot of people who are in here have already taken advantage of that, but we hope you guys can too if you're watching this, because we're excited to win some money together starting tonight. Let me get to the chat now. Again, we appreciate our guy Kicks, who I mentioned earlier, but could not hear me appreciate him. But we appreciate you. We appreciate our guy Whohames for helping us troubleshoot us and letting us know that you guys are here. Thank you, Mike Robb. Thank you, everybody. We got not Goats cards, as I used to think it was, Go AZ cards. Yeah, that was a choppy start, but we're just gonna pick right up and pull it together here first to find some winners starting tonight. Happy kickoff day to you as well. Best ball on call. Yes, they're calling you Mr. 3000, Steve. How do you like that? That's a good.
Appreciate it.
Oh, Kicks, I'm a woman. Good to know. Great. Thank you. Good to know. So yes, let's go. Let's start making money tonight. So Steve, I'm going to pull over DraftKings, and I had to learn how to pronounce things. I need to learn everything. But no, let's pull over DraftKings. We took an early look Monday, Now let's take a deeper look at the main slate. On other future Thursdays, especially as we're more into the season research routine, obviously we were, the switch over from best ball to in season, it always comes quick on Labor Day weekend, but we'll do maybe even some more peaks at like early only, afternoon only, because we've both had success there, especially Steve. But today we're just going to take a deeper look at the main slate. So I'm going to bring that over. Let's see. Let me press the wrong button. Okay, I'm going to bring that over now. Let me bring over, just make sure I'm bringing up the right slate, the Millie Maker, just bring that in here. So Steve is visiting family, not at Mama and Pop's. So that's why he's not his normal background that Mike Robb gives you a hard time on. All right. So Steve, we have the DraftKings slate. We did an early look on Monday. We posted yesterday an expert survey, which Mike Robb gave us some great feedback about that. Our survey basically being, here's our favorite stacks and, games and values and spend ups and those kind of things that we could talk about that all kind of here. But I think the biggest thing that is interesting when we pull this up and look at line of construction is that we like I'll say it this way. I like a stars and scrubs build. I'm very willing to pay down at certain positions and I'm very willing to pay up at certain positions. So I don't know if you want to go through that first and then I can kind of tail on that. But that's how I would phrase it.
Yeah, I think due to the soft pricing, particularly at quarterback and tight end, those in particular, I want to take advantage of. Yes, there's some big names at both those positions, but I just think unless, Jaden Daniels laps the field or McBride laps the field, you probably don't want to spend your money there because the spend ups at running back and at receiver just feel better. I mean, there's some cheaper guys there as well, and maybe you can throw one or two in at those positions, but particularly quarterback and tight end, I just think it's going to be a lot harder to win focusing on like Daniels or Burrow up top and or a tight end, like focusing on Bowers or McBride.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point too. I mean, think about all the quarterbacks that are off of this slate too, with the primetime game. So really we are dodging Daniels, Burrow, and one of the spend ups I know you like is Baker, which I agree as well. But let's go through kind of what we did on the survey, our three favorite stacks, because that's exactly what I'm doing. As much as, I like the spend of quarterbacks and I might do like an early only with Burrow or an early only with Baker. And that's kind of how I hedge in a way is I'll play a certain way for classic. And then in the early only or afternoon only, I might flip the build or something. Like if I'm spending up here, I might flip the build. So I might then spend up on my quarterback stacks and do that kind of thing for early only, afternoon only. For the main slate, I definitely love the pay down options at quarterback, tight end. I'm going to punt off defense too, probably one other receiver spot, like you said. And then you can really do a stars and scrubs build. And I think the key is just, again, you don't have to be contrarian everywhere. You don't have to dodge the chalk everywhere. You just have to find that right balance and get a couple spots that you get contrarian. So what are your three favorite stacks? And then I'll go through mine.
So my first one is the expensive one, and that's Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. You can also cheaply add Mbuka to this. And you could even do, if you want a super cheap low-owned tight end, would be Devin Culp. This would be more like Millie Maker.
Looks like Kate Otten's playing, though. It looks like Kate Otten's playing.
Yeah, I just don't know how much he's going to play.
Yeah.
Just because they went from saying like he could miss a couple weeks to he's not practicing. So I wouldn't do Otten, but if you want to get really crazy, and keep track of the news there. But yeah, I mean, Baker and Mike Evans, it just looks like an ultimate shootout game. I like the other side of it as well with Penix, but Baker's where I'd want to prioritize. And then, bringing back ideally with Drake London, or you could, if you are spending up at running back, Bijan would be good bring back from the game as well. So this game, I think, has the best chance to really go nuclear. We saw the games last year really take off, and while it was more like the Falcons side, Kirk Cousins had, I think his 2 best games.
Mm-hmm.
The Falcons defense is not something that's scary. And so, I think you also have a situation where Baker and Evans, they just know each other. They've been playing together for 2 years. The offensive system should just be tweaked essentially from last year, not a full reboot like some other teams are dealing with. So that's my number one favorite. My next is Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr. Again, Travis Hunter can be in the mix here as well. Brenton Strange at tight end. You could even look at one of the Jags running backs. Carolina defense is going to be one of the worst in the league this year. I think their run defense is horrendously bad. Their secondary is not much better. And, Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas Jr., the interesting thing with them is one, the Jaguars starters played a fair amount in the preseason. So much better than a lot of teams. I could see this as a sign that they hit the ground running a little bit better. And Jags defense isn't great. So Carolina probably should get some points back, keeping this, competitive at least. And Liam Cohn, we saw what he did with Baker in the Bucs last year. Not that you can 100% copy paste, but I do think there's a lot there, particularly in a matchup like this. And we also know Brian Thomas is just one of the elite receivers in the league. I think he's already established that he's on that track. So we're probably getting him at a discount. This is a guy who 3 or 4 weeks from now could be right up there with Jamar Chase in terms of price. If he starts this season like he ended last year, he's going to be up there that soon. So this week we're kind of getting him at a discount. And this is, again, one of the ways we're talking about taking advantage of the week 1 pricing. Then the final one would be Drake May, Stephon Diggs. You could go Pop Douglas. You could add a running back. I think that's fair. And of course, Hunter Henry. But Drake May is probably the cheapest quarterback who has that rushing upside that we ideally want from, our quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels and being the only key one on this slate. Justin Fields, but that's not a great matchup. So Drake May, we saw he essentially had 11 starts last year, and he had over 400 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns in those starts. You extrapolate that, his numbers are essentially on par with Josh Allen in terms of rushing yards. Just the touchdowns are a little off, considerably off. But this is a whole new offensive system, whole new offensive team. They've improved their offensive line. They improved their weapons. It's just Drake May's second year. He threw the ball pretty well down the stretch last year to not a lot of talent. I think that improves. I think Steph Diggs is going to be a big part of that. I think Pop Douglas could be his chain mover. And I think Hunter Henry, slot receivers and tight ends typically do well in Josh McDaniels' offenses. Mm-hmm. I still think Diggs is the guy overall over the course of the year, but he could have a little rust coming back from the injury.
Yeah, well, you covered my 2 out of my 3, and I like I said, Baker and Burrow. I think I'm going to play them in early only, do spend ups. My 3 are 2 of the 3 that you had. Lawrence with BTJ, and I'll throw in Hunter. Looks to be low owned, so I want to be early to that and maybe get some ownership leverage. And did you see the Footloose commercial, or were you too busy in the best ball fast drafts? You were multi-tabling 4 at a time. Did you see the Footloose commercial? Absolutely adorable. I loved it.
I don't think I saw that one. No.
Yeah, it was so good, Steve. You have to go. It's an Adidas commercial. It's so good. We're not sponsored by Adidas. I wish we were. But anyways, I might throw Travis Hunter in there too. And it's not just my best ball bias, and I draft a lot of Travis Hunter. I want to be early. It's that stack. And then Drake May, like you said, slot receivers are very, very well in Josh McDaniel offenses. So I want to be early with Pop Douglas, Hunter Henry, and I'll play some Diggs too, and I'll probably rotate. But those are my 2 favorite stacks. And then my third one is again, I'll do some Baker and Burrow in early only, is Daniel Jones. It's gross. plug your nose. He could still get there with the ground too. And one thing I wanted to say on May, and I said it on the CBS show that I was on earlier this morning, the Drake May thing feels like Jaden Daniels last year, where he goes in round 9 and then we realize, whoa, there was a lot of upside. We were getting so much later in the draft. That's what I'm hoping season long it is for Drake May, based on how much I drafted him that late in, mid rounds and in best ball drafts. But I think we could, I want to be early to that as far as ownership and price. And so I just feel like we're getting that potential, huge, we could have a huge breakout season for Drake May. And again, I want to be early to that. As far as Daniel Jones, I know it's gross, but the Miami defense is terrible. It's definitely a pass funnel, but I also like Jonathan Taylor, by the way. We'll get to that in a minute. But this is an opportunity for Daniel Jones to succeed in week 1. And, you compare him with Downs, you compare, just like May, I don't think you have to force a double stack because you're probably counting on some of the fantasy points coming on the ground. But you could pair him with Josh Downs. I think the slot could be very good there. Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman, choose your weapon. You could even run Daniel Jones naked, but he's so cheap that he allows you to do so much. And there are so many studs that we want to pay up for. Pop at 32.5 in the UD lottery is nuts. So yeah, we'll be getting to that in a minute, but that's probably a great scroll down, certainly a fun scroll down. I do like them a little more in DraftKings with the full point PPR, but absolutely that makes sense. So those are my 3 stacks, Steve. This, kind of going on like our survey that covers our main quarterback stacks. As far as game stack, you talked about Buccaneers, Falcons. I talked about Jaguars, Panthers. I'm also not going to force bringbacks this year. We've seen that in best ball and in DFS. It's not like you have to force a bring back, especially when there's so many guys on the slate that you want to pay for. So those are probably the 2 games I like the most. And Mike makes a great point about the Cincinnati. That would be the 3rd game for me. Feels like this Cleveland Cincinnati game has the feel of the Bucks Saints a few years back, where you had to have a piece of it. I totally get that. I have a lot of guys in my player pool from both Cleveland and Cincinnati. As far as stacking, I'd be willing to stack Flacco or Burrow probably in an early only. But I get it. That could be a game with just the way how bad the Cincinnati defense is, but how powerful the offense is, that it just goes off. So I assume you agree with Mike's point about liking that game stack as well.
I do. I probably, just looking at some of the ownership stuff, I probably will approach it a little differently. And we can get to that in a second, but I'll just preview my favorite piece from the Cleveland side is actually Jerome Ford.
Okay. Mainly just kind of using the check downs and that kind of stuff, as opposed to.
Well, I mean, and I know it's different season and everything, but it's also better quarterback. In late December last year, Jerome Ford had 140 combined yards and a touchdown, 5 catches against these Bengals. And I know Dylan Sampson's there, but they're saying Ford is the starter. I think both Ford and Sampson get run and work. But I also think they're going to be behind a lot. So that will probably keep Ford on the offense more. And he had 5 catches in that game. He could have 7, 8 catches in this type of game environment. And I just think he's more exposed than people give him credit for, since he couldn't stop him. And that was only in 11 carries and 5 catches. They had over 140 combined yards. So I just think he's prime in this matchup and is going to be cheap and lower owned. Or he's actually not super cheap. And that's one of the reasons why I think he'll be super low owned.
Yeah, no, I definitely think he'll be low. And the problem for me is, and Eddie, teams are going live in a couple hours. Absolutely. He agrees with you, and asked about Fannin as well. But yeah, the thing that's going to be hard for me to get to Ford is I love so many running backs on the slate. I have a list here next to me, and Ford's on the list, but there are just so many running backs, a lot higher price, quite honestly. And I know you and I both talked about this in the survey. See ourselves doing a lot of 3 running back builds this week. And it's hard for me to get away from the CMC, Bucky, Connor, JT, there's just so many. And I didn't even mention Chase Brown, Alvin Kamara before, it's just going to be tough to narrow it down. And so I do want to get that in, but I probably prioritize those other running backs first. So again, with liking we went over our quarterback stacks with and let's get to Go's question, Go AZ's question, and then we'll talk about more of the lineup construction and maybe build a shell here. Get to some of our values and spend ups and then build a shell. But when maxing 150 or 20 DK dailies main slate, do you like to have a core or focus on a limited number of quarterbacks and stacks? So I don't max. I'll answer first and then Steve can go. I don't max. I only build honestly 5 main lineups and 3 early only, 3 afternoon only. So yeah, that's why I just did 3 quarterback stacks. And then it's I might hedge off with one or 2 in the early only or afternoon only window. So yeah, I mean, I think even when you're maxing, you need to have a core and, a limited number of QBs to stack from the people that I know that max, I think that they're limiting their stacks even when they are maxing. But I personally am only doing 5 to 8 lineups, maybe 10 to 12 when I get into my early only, afternoon only. So yeah, I'm definitely limiting it to 3 stacks. Did you want to answer that question, Steve, before we get to it?
Yeah. The more you do, the more stacks you can have, but you should limit it. And it starts with quarterback. I'd cut down to between 5 and 7 quarterbacks, even if you're doing 150. I'd have a core, and I'll talk it from, if you are doing 150, have 8 running backs, 12 receivers, 6 tight ends, and then a couple guys at each of those positions that you want to just sprinkle in a little bit on top. But you want that core. You want to be right on your core because that's what you're going to need. And just don't try and get too cute, too unique, too much, because then it, if you are maxing, then it ends up limiting your upside. Because if you're right on 80% of your core, you don't want it to be, well, I just felt the need to sprinkle in these 3 guys, and it just ends up, because you need to get top end scores right in the big tournament. So I just wouldn't add too many guys to the pile.
Whether you're maxing,
you're right.
Whether you're maxing, doing a 20 max, doing more like me, 8 to 12 total lineups, I think you want to have a core and have a player pool and not drift too far outside of that for sure. Why don't you answer the fan-in question, and then we'll talk about kind of our pay ups and our spend downs, and then build a shell lineup before we switch over to Underdog.
Yeah. I mean, I think fan-in is going to be on the field a decent amount, utilized. I guess is in targets. He could end up being 5th in targets, even behind somebody like Jerome Ford. But he'll be out there on probably most passing plays, the majority of passing plays. I could see him getting 4 to 6, 7 targets, but probably well behind Judy, Tillman, Njoku, and maybe even Ford.
Right.
For this kind of thing, I don't know if he's as good because if this was a short slate, that could be a different story, or if this was the night game slate, Thursday, Friday, or Sunday, Monday, and it's just 2 games, maybe fan-in could be cheap enough and score enough points that's worth it. And of course, in a showdown, exact same thing. But even if he gets a touchdown, there's probably you're not saving a ton. You're not saving a ton over, all these other JT Sanders and all these other 3,500 or cheaper tight ends. I mean, even Tucker Kraft is 4,000, right? And that's a guy who could have 12 targets.
Right. Exactly. I do need to check out FanDuel. I do know they have a promo. Eddie has one more question, and then we'll get to building the shell and a couple other questions from our survey. But what tournaments do you recommend? I want to point this out because Mike Robb had a suggestion to add this to the survey, and I think that's a great point. Contest selection we talk about a lot during best ball season. The BBM, it's great, but it's a lotto, just like a Millie Maker is a lotto. And it took me a while when I first started. Steve and I have been playing DFS since 2012, 2013. So this is 13th, 14th year. I mean, it's been a long time. And it took me a while to realize that I need to really focus on contest selection. And so I don't particularly play cash games or double ups. I play tournaments, but I'm trying to play more like the single entry 3 max, 5 max. and do those. And then I might then throw that lineup into the big $3 in case it hits the nuts. So I'm not like, oh, I could have won, instead of, if it does hit the nuts and I win 1,000, that's amazing. And if it truly is the nuts, that's what's different than best ball is, you can just throw that lineup into something else. So that's how I handle it is, again, I'm playing, 8 to 12 lineups, but then and I'm focusing on the single entry 3 max, 5 max type contests that have a smaller field size, anywhere from 500 to, 5,000 basically. I don't want these crazy high field sizes, but I will throw that same lineup into the cheap $3 just in case, or excuse me, I should say the $3, but the big tournament that has like, 50K up top or something, but it has like 100,000 entries.
Yeah.
So that's how I handle it. How do you handle contest selection? Because I do think that's important. And each week we can, as Mike suggested, try to put that in our survey. Okay, these are the lineups we're really liking this week.
Mm-hmm. No, and that is a lot of it. Like it's a good approach to try and use early on to be like a bankroll management. You said like half of it in the Millie Maker. I know it's tempting because this is going to be the cheapest price the Millie Maker is probably going to be all year, and so that 500 would get you 100 entries. I probably wouldn't put that much in. I have a bunch of tickets and I might do a few others, but most of my money will go in to similar price around there. Like just looking at $5, you could, the single entry huddle, both the 15K and the 50K version, the nickel, 3 entry max, like, yeah, you're winning 4K up top, but you're beating one of 9,500 versus one of a million, 832,000 entries. So I would focus on those. I would focus on as many tournaments as possible. On the cheaper end, there's a $2 safety that's a 20 max. Not that you have to do all 20, but you do 5 there. That's $10. And again, it's like 2K up top. The $3, as much as the 20 max play action is great, it's 158,000 entries. Would I do 1 or 2? Maybe my best 1 or 2 lineups in there, but the triple option, 3 max, the single entries, I'd focus on those. And then there's, $4 price as well. And then spending up a little bit more, like, yes, there's like, bigger things, like the chain mover and stuff like that, but at $10, but there's like $12 tournaments. Like for instance, the fair catch, I have it up right now.
The single entry. Yeah. It's really nice.
Single entry fair catch. There's a big one, but there's also one that's 2,450 entries.
That's the one I like. I like that one a lot.
Is 2,500. And
that's one of my favorite ones. Yeah.
Yeah. And, like for instance, like just sometimes look at the same price point in the lower version. Like there's a screen pass, $15. That's essentially 6,000 entries, and then one that's 1,100 entries, and 1,100 entry one, $15 to win, $1,500. You just have better odds there. So if you're on a budget like that, I would do a handful into some of these bigger lottos, whether it's the Millie Maker or the big $3 or the big $9. But I would try and focus on things that are like 10,000 entries or under, even 5,000 entries or under. You just have a much better chance of getting a top end prize. And yeah, that top end prize might be 1K, 2K, 5K versus 50K, 100K, a million, whatever. But you're going to get paid. You're going to get paid off more by focusing on those kind of contests.
And it's better for bankroll management. Yeah. Don't worry, Eddie. We're all like that. It's taken us, again, we've been doing this since like 2012. So it's taken us a while to figure it out ourselves. We got Hulk mashed potatoes in here. Hey, good to see you, Hulk. We have a lot of people watching over on Twitter. Come over, hit that like button. Come over, join us in the YouTube streets. Ask us questions. We really, really, really appreciate it. We're going to be putting out content almost every single day, covering DFS, Underdog Battle Royales, NFL betting. We are so excited the season is here. Join us in the YouTube chat. Come over, at least say hi, or at least drop a like. We certainly appreciate that. Okay, Steve, now let's just quickly talk about our spend up options, or our spend up priorities, and our pay down values. And then we'll get to building a shell. So I'll go first. My spend up priorities are kind of the running backs. Honestly, it's Christian McCaffrey, number one. And then honestly, I like Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irving, James Conner, Chase Brown. Those five are pretty high for me. I do like Kamara as well. And then some of the receivers, Jamar Chase, Mike Evans, Drake London, Brian Thomas Jr., and I'm missing one here. Oh, Malik Neighbors is one of my favorites. So I have a lot of spend up options at running back and receiver, and doing that stars and scrubs. I am trying to prioritize probably 3 of those running backs that I just named, of those 5 or 6, and then at least 2 or 3 of those receivers if possible. And that's why I'm punting off quarterback and tight end and defense. And we'll show you that in action in a minute. Who are your spend up priorities?
Yeah, I mean, definitely my top 2 guys are CMC and Jonathan Taylor. I think they're just in massive chance for huge workloads. The other running backs you mentioned are all in the mix as well. Receiver wise, Jamar Chase is expensive, but can be worth it. I like more like the sub 7K guys, Brian Thomas Jr., Mike Evans, Drake London, even T. Higgins. T. Higgins can be a nice leverage pivot to Chase to get access to that game. And just, hey, we saw it week 17 last year. Sometimes all the touchdowns flow to one guy, not named Chase. And
Neighbors is right at 7K.
Yeah, Neighbors is right at 7K. He's behind the other 3 for me, just because I think those games have more like total shootout potential.
So who are your spend up receivers? You said Evans and
Brian Thomas, Evans, and Drake London.
Yeah. No, I like that. London Neighbors is probably my top, but I totally get that. And I'm trying to get those guys rotated in there as well. So yeah, I absolutely like that. Oh, I was looking at prices and I started to bring over one of my shell lineups, but okay, pay down options. So those are our spend up priorities. A lot of running backs and receivers, obviously. Who are your biggest salary savers that you're going to use?
So the 3 that I listed in the survey, I have plenty of others, but the 3 I really listed in the survey are Ricky Pearsall. I know Juwan Jennings is back, but I still think Ricky Pearsall can be the guy. Emeka Mbuka, no Godwin, maybe Otten's back, but no Godwin, no McMillan in a game that I think can just really go nuclear. And Tucker Kraft, tight end, I think he's priced way too low for the type of tight end that he can be. And on top of that, Detroit, that this game is another game that could end up being kind of a sneaky shootout. And Detroit's defense, I don't think is as good as people think. Matthew Golden is the healthiest receiver they have, and he's a rookie. Dubs is going to start, but every other receiver is a little banged up. I don't think Jayden Reed obviously plays, and I'm not even sure Wicks plays, but probably. So, yeah, I just think Tucker Kraft, I mentioned it earlier, he's a guy who could, maybe only get 7 or 8 targets, but he could get 12 targets in this game.
Yeah, no, I like the Tucker Kraft call a lot. Well, I do like a lot of the 3,500 and under tight ends. Tucker Kraft at 4K is I really have a lot of interest in as well. So my pay downs are very similar to yours. I agree with Pearsall and Buka. We talked about it, like a more depleted room, a more condensed target share. So I like those 2, values, so to speak, a lot. I think there's a lot of other values. And I wrote about, different ones that you want to, whether it is Pop Douglas or Leggett, just in that situation. Josh Downs, there are a lot and under 4,600 of the receiver options. So I kind of want to rotate through those, because I do think there's a lot, especially outside of Pearsall and Buka. Josh Downs and Pop Douglas are 2 other ones, kind of slot receivers that I think could have some layups in this first week against very good defensive matchups, essentially. So there's that. Hunter's 5,000 if you do want some ownership leverage, want to double stack Trevor Lawrence. So yeah, I think there's a lot of values there. My biggest values, though, are going to be at tight end. Jatavian Sanders is only 2,900. That is dirt cheap. Yes, he may come with ownership, but you could go to some other ones that, just looking here at the tight end tab. And you had mentioned, if obviously I You can, of course, make a case for Bowers and McBride. That's why they were drafted where they were all best ball season. And Kittle, of course, at 5,800, another depleted, obviously, target share for the 49ers. I always love Kittle, 5,800. But going down like Njoku, like Warren, you talked about Tucker Kraft at 4,000. Hunter Henry's right under that, 3,900. Gesicki is he's one that I like season long. He's coming back. I mean, I think he's viable, but not one that I'd force this week. There are so many under 3,300, not so many, but there are plenty that I have interest in. Brenton Strange at 3,300. If you want to double stack Lawrence that way, I think is very viable. Pat Freiermuth, I think if DK is locked up, for Rodgers, I think it could funnel through the tight ends. And, Pat Freiermuth had a healthy camp, whereas Jonnu was a little banged up. So I think Pat Freiermuth could have incredibly low ownership. It's not just because I drafted him a ton in the 18th round. It's not just a best ball bias. I really think people are undervaluing what his role could be in this offense. Hell, you won 50,000 on a Pat Freiermuth 4% owned in an early only. Why couldn't it be again?
Yeah.
So I do think that's interesting. Again, price and ownership leverage there. Our guy Eddie mentioned Fannin. I think that's interesting. You could go to like a Mason Taylor or something like that. Jatavian Sanders is obviously my favorite dirt cheap, tight end play at 2,900. But of course, that's going to come with ownership. Are there any other low price guys that I'm missing?
Well, like we've avoided it because it is a tough game, tough matchup. But in terms of tight end, most specifically, like a Chiga Konkwu,
yeah.
Cam Ward's going to throw the ball. Like it's got to go to somebody.
Yeah.
So, I don't think his ownership is going to be high. He's 3,400. If he was expensive, it's like, the odds aren't, he doesn't pay off, but it's just another situation. 5 catches, 50 yards and touchdown is very viable for any tight end down here. And I could see him being one of them.
You could even do Jawan Johnson too. I mean, anything attached to Spencer Rattler grosses me out, but he's 3,300 and the ball's, like you said, similar. It's got to go somewhere. So let's build like a shell, Steve. First of all, our guy in here, agrees. Hello, all agree. Love RBs in week 1. We do too. Mike Rob says true or false. DK's new achievements are more useless than drafting Amari Cooper, which hashtag to Amari Cooper's retirement or shout out to Amari Cooper's retirement. That's good. All right, so let's build a shell. Do you want to go start with our guy? We're not going to fill out the whole thing, but do you want to start with our guy, Drake May, Steve?
Yeah.
Just to kind of show what you can do with that. So who are your top? We talk about a 3 running back build and spending up. I think we both agree McCaffrey. Who would be your other 2 spend up priorities?
For me, it's Jonathan Taylor.
So the Miami defense fronts doesn't worry you. You just think they're going to have the lead. The offense runs through him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. So we talked about 3 running back build. Who would be your third priority? Because I mean, you could make a case for Chase Brown, Bucky Irving, James Conner, Alvin Kamara. Even go deeper with like.
You want to spend down a little bit and do Jerome Ford, like the case that I made.
I mean, we could do that. I'm going to do a lot of 3 spend up options. So let's do that first, and then switch out Ford and show what you could do with Ford. So who would be your other top spend up option?
Probably Connor.
Yeah, that's probably mine. I was going back and forth, honestly, between Bucky, Chase Brown, and Connor. But yeah, Connor has a really nice matchup, should have a major positive game script. I know you put the Texans in as your favorite cheap defense, so I'll plug in just a cheap defense. Pick your favorite cheap tight end that we just mentioned, anyone 3,600 and below. Or if you even want to go Kraft, we could do that.
Let's put in Kraft for now.
Okay. So as you can see, we start May, McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, James Conner. So doing the pay down quarterback, pay down tight end, which you could pay down even further from that, pay down defense, 3 expensive running backs. And then what can we do at receiver? We won't fill out all 3, but where did you want to go now? What would be your priority spend in this situation?
If we put in Pop Douglas, what does that leave us for the last 2 spots?
Yeah, 42. You get the stack. You have 6,800. So
yeah. So I mean, yeah, we don't have to put it in there.
Like Brian Thomas Jr. is rated 6,800. So
Yeah.
you do a Brian Thomas Jr., you could do Mike Evans, Drake London. If you bump down like defense or craft, you could go up to like a neighbors. So it's kind of everything we talked about. And this is why, we're showing like a build. Now let's try to switch out what you said. Let's take out James Conner. Let's add in Jerome Ford to that. Let's even just add in an even cheaper tight end, whether it's like a Freiermuth or like a Chig or as low as a JT Sanders. Then you get up to 8,400. I mean, you could even bump up. Obviously, you don't have to stack Drake May. Obviously,
well, the thing is, you could bring back Chase.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Like, this is how you get Chase.
This is how you get Chase. Yeah. And then you have the Ford Chase skinny in that. So this is the whole point of just showing like the different lineup constructions and why. Of course, it's not that I don't like the expensive quarterbacks or that. And again, I'm going to hedge and do some of those in my, early only, afternoon only, or that we don't love like, all the like expensive tight ends. I love Kittle and I love those guys, but you have to make concessions somewhere and and priorities each week. And so this is how we feel like this week we want to prioritize it. Any final thoughts before we switch on gears and head over to the Underdog streets as part of our Power Hour?
No, I mean, it's, and this is the other reason, just going back to the question earlier about having a core, because I like this build, or I like the build that we just had. And then it's like, let's mix a few things up, and it can be not just the slight mixing we did, but let's replace, McCaffrey or JT once with, Bijan because of the run back to Evans, that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, just that's why we do it from a core standpoint. And yeah, plenty of lineups would be similar, but if you're right on those cores, you could really have a nice payday. Absolutely.
And then, again, you're not looking to get like, you're not looking to get, what's the word I'm saying? You don't need to be contrarian across the board, but I do think you want to pick some contrarian spots. Maybe we look at that and say, oh, this lineup's kind of chalky. Let's add Hunter here. Let's add, a Freiermuth here, just get a couple spots where we're getting low ownership. So I think that's good as well. All right, let me bring over Underdog and we can rip through a battle royale streets. But as I'm doing that, Steve, talk about your article, your rankings. Again, there are articles every single day on our Degen Substack. Our Degen Substack is $34.99, not a month, for the entire year. I have to say that every time because you literally are paying that most triple for most subscription services. And again, this is covering year round, all the best ball stuff that we put out. And then all this, and there are going to be posts every single day. We're going to post our Thursday night bets right after this, bets on every game day, and essentially then Underdog and DraftKings and all covering the DFS. So we're covering all three of NFL betting, DFS, Underdog, Battle Royales. So Steve did a post, Battle Royales rankings, and then kind of like some scroll down options. So who of your favorite, we kind of know who the spend up options are. We just talked about them. Who are your favorite scroll down options in the Battle Royale streets?
So I'll give a couple at each position.
Perfect.
At quarterback, it'd be Michael Penix and Drake May. At running back, I would point to one running back. I list 12 running backs, my top 12, because you should be ideally having running back in your flex. This is a scroll down option, but a guy who made my top 12 was Jerome Ford, because I do love his matchup that much this week. I think other ones, you can look at some like backfields that are a little undefined. And I give the point of Ramondre Stevenson. Henderson is getting a lot of hype and a lot of buzz, but Stevenson probably walks away with this game with more high value touches, probably more total touches, and in a game script where they're probably ahead. If they're ahead, if that's what we're banking on, he's probably the guy you want. I think you can make your case for whichever Denver running back you want. And honestly, whatever Jags running back you want. The Panthers have the worst, probably the stone worst rush defense. ETN, Tank Bigsby. I mean, the coach speak around ETN just sounds better. So that's the lean I would do. And I think Austin Eckler would be one other one that honestly, coach speak is very up in the air, but he's probably the guy we should feel safest about because everyone else is a former late round guy or Jeremy McNichols. So I'll probably go Austin Eckler. Not that I think you need to scroll down too often for him, but if you're going to go that direction, that's where I go. As for receivers, Ricky Pearsall is a guy who generally is not drafted. He makes my top 16. But other guys, if you're going to scroll down, Deebo Samuel, not just in Jaden stack, but you have a situation where Terry McLaurin, who honestly I don't really think should be drafted, just because he missed all of camp and dealt with a little bit of an injury, not just the contract stuff.
Yeah, we've seen it, holdouts usually start slow.
So I think Deebo is a great pivot option. I think Jalen Waddle, Tyreek, we don't know what's going on. They don't have a tight end. Devin Achane is banged up. They're probably going to be behind by $1 million. So Waddle, I feel like is a decent option for Miami. Matthew Golden, as I mentioned earlier, all the Packers receivers are injured. And if I had to go for a really deep option, I would point to somebody like Cedric Tillman, who, in their limited time, both starting together, he actually outplayed Judy last season. Yeah. New quarterback. Maybe it's different this year, but Judy's going to be drafted all the time. Tillman's going to be drafted, under 5%.
Yeah. The biggest one to me at quarterback, did you already mention the quarterback scroll down? Because Drake May is not getting drafted. That to me is crazy. Well,
I mean, there's just, who do you put him ahead of? Like Bo Nix, Trevor Lawrence, Kyler Murray,
but he could outscore them.
Sure. But
right. That's my point.
Quarterback is, and on a week without buys, I mean, there's a couple extra games off the slate, but a week without buys, there's just so many good quarterbacks out there. So, take advantage because 3 weeks from now, he might be consistently in that top 6 and getting drafted 80% of the time. But right now he's not.
Right. And so that's
tight end.
Right.
Like Tucker Kraft might be getting drafted most of the time, but a couple guys who aren't are going to be guys like Brenton Strange, Zach Ertz, Evan Ingram. If you really want to get deep, Kyle Pitts, Jatavian Sanders, Hunter Henry. So those are guys who are going to be drafted less. I do think with tight end, though, if you get a shot at one of the top 3 tight ends, those are guys who can lap the field. And it's not like the cost to lap the field. If you're taking McBride in the 3rd round, which you can get a decent enough time, sometimes you go 2nd round, but if you're taking McBride in the 3rd round, it's not like, this is not like DraftKings or any DFS site where you're paying an exorbitant price, because McBride might end up being the best 3rd round pick. Like he actually could be that. But on like DraftKings, he's not, even if he's not necessarily worth that money. If you take a tight end like Zach Ertz even, or Jatavian Sanders, and they get half the points, well, you're just not going to win money in this, where you would, and you could make the case still in like a DraftKings, like it's worth the difference.
Yeah. And I think, I think some of the data that I know Pete and Nez and John's Underdog Masterclass has shown is, I think it's like 70% running back in the flex is kind of hits the flex at a more optimal rate. Not all the time, but I think the number I heard was 70%. So again, but I would say this week, again, just like every week's different of where you want to spend in DFS, we're in the underdog streets now. Every week's different of where you may want to scroll down. And I agree with you. It probably isn't this week. Tucker Kraft would be the one, if he's going undrafted, that you think you could make a case for to scroll down for. I would think like the receivers and Drake May for me would be the two areas I don't see me scrolling down a lot in the running back position, and I don't see me scrolling down a lot in the tight end position. So we have a shot. Let me catch up with chat, and then we will get to this. Also, we We have a lot of people watching on Twitter. We appreciate you, but there is a link right there in the Twitter. Come over to the YouTube streets, say hi, hit that like button. We appreciate that. Helps us a ton. Also, leave a comment after the show about, what you like in this show. This is a new show that we're doing in season, Degen Power Hour. Obviously, it's looking more like going to be like closer to 2 hours today, but it is the Degen Power Hours Monday and Thursday, where we're covering all three: DFS, Underdog Battle Royales, and NFL betting, because right after this, we will be getting to Thursday night props and parlays. That's exciting because we will see that right in action then mere hours later. And we will be sending out our best bets to our Substack. Answering Eddie's question, great question about the substance today, but I know he means Substack. Would it cover best ball? Yes, it's a 365-day subscription. So you get it today. It's covering all the way through the season, all the way through big board season, all the way through best ball season. You wouldn't need to renew until next September 4th. So yes, it definitely all 365 and a whole entire year, calendar year. Go AZ Card says, it's crazy to think that 50% of my limbs, 75% of my first quarter teams could be gone by Tuesday. Well, maybe you'll have a high advance rate, Go AZ, but yeah, that is what's, so exciting about it, is the sweat equity of it, and to see, what's really live moving on to week 2. And then especially for both, week 3, week 4, because especially for first quarter, we'll get real exciting by week 4, and hopefully we have some sweats there. But good luck to everybody as our best ball season lineups start, but also especially these eliminator and first quarters, because we're really going to see that in action here soon. I just looked, the BBM is almost full. Let's see if they'll have to sweat it out to the very end, but it looked like it was 99.7%.
Wow.
So it'll become right down to the wire, 99.7. So it's only like a little over 1,400. So I think they make it. What do you think, Steve?
I think they'll get it.
I do too.
Yeah,
and this was my prediction, that sprint marathon would end around 75. Sprint's currently at 73. Marathon is currently at 70, almost 71. So I think they're both going to get between 75 and 80 when it's all said and done. But let's rip one.
It's only 2 hours. I think it closes at 7 p.m.
Okay. It's not up till 8. So yeah, 2 hours to go. So yeah, you're making Juan scared with the eliminator first quarter. So yeah, big week 1 here we got, but let's talk about it for Battle Royale. If you'd like to join us in this draft, I'm going to enter now, and then that way anybody that wants to get in with us can jump in. We'll see where we're at. Yeah, we're waiting on 4. So no need for a countdown there. If you want to join us in the Battle Royale streets, we are here waiting on now 3. I'm not doing many this week. I'm focusing mainly on bets and NFL or DFS and bets this week. So waiting on 2 more, Steve. So let's make this good. Let's make it count. I hope we get the number 1 pick.
The good news about the first quarter is that if you advance, you get the payout for next week. So that'll be nice.
Oh, that's right. I didn't think about that. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Waiting on 2 more. If you want to jump in with us in this Battle Royale, again, we're all just shooting for the top prize here. And then again, stick with us, because after this, we will be going to FanDuel Sportsbook, pulling up the lines, looking at props, first touchdowns, anytime touchdowns, props, parlays. We'll go through it. So one says, what are your all's lock bets? We got a show for that too. We have a show for that too. So tomorrow night, 2 shows tomorrow. We have Prop Party, 4 p.m. I'll have to check with Tyler if he's joining us, but we'll be back here talking props and parlays, just props, anytime touchdowns, parlays. Degen Dads tomorrow night, 9:30. It will be, they cover it all: sides, totals, props, anytime touchdowns, cover it all. If you're just interested in sides and totals, Spread and Tyler broke down kind of their favorite looks at that on Tuesday, so that you can go back, check that out on the channel. I'm not doing the dog bowl qualifiers. Steve, are you?
Not right now, maybe later in the year if I have more time for it. I mean, it's fun. I'd love to go, but it is, it's not the best EV money wise.
Right. Eddie, your dad's a Cowboys fan, going to parents for pizza and wings and football. Going to give my dad hell, a Cowboys fan. Yeah, it could be a rough night for them tonight. But we will talk about that in just a minute. Just a few minutes after we get through this draft, we are going to head over to, I feel like I need to hit refresh. Oh no, it's counting down. Okay, so draft is started. We are the 6th pick. I wanted McCaffrey, so we didn't get that. But we will figure that out. Coolers is in here. What's that?
We have Mike in here.
Oh, nice. I'll get to Coolers in a minute. So we got Mike DeMoney 888 right in front of us at the 5 spot. We're at the 6 spot. Don't recognize the other name. I recognize the name Rotosurgeon.
There's a guy on Twitter named Rotosurgeon. I'm guessing that's him.
Okay. I mean, Mike, if you get to get
interesting takes.
Oh, Mike almost got McCaffrey. Okay, Mike goes JT. Where do you want to go here? I'd vote Neighbors, but what do you want to do?
Let's do Neighbors and I think let's start with 2 receivers.
Okay, so you want to start 2. I don't mind the scroll down receiver, but I guess the running backs are later.
Yeah.
Okay, so like
unless you wanted to go Jaden.
No, I like the scroll down options better.
Okay, then.
Giants play Washington tough both games last year. Jaden had 2 of his not as good statistical games. So Nico, Drake London, Mike Evans, BTJ, kind of like BTJ. What are you thinking? BTJ. All right. So we start Neighbors, BTJ. Mike got JT. Gotta like that. So we'll have fun with your parents tonight, giving your dad hell as a Cowboys fan, Eddie. We got Coolers in here. I heard the 2 of you offer refunds if you tout a bet and it loses. There's not truth to that rumor, but I will say I don't have the exact units from last year, and that's a shame on me. Slap my hand. But we did well. We did well overall on being up units on our individual, alt and anytime touchdowns. We usually like to target those markets. And then we do, we'll put out parlays for every island game and for the Sunday slate. And, we hit some fun ones anywhere from, plenty of smaller, 3 to 10 to 1, but we hit plenty in the 20 to 30 to 1 range, which was really, really fun. Yeah. Already made a max bet. Please say yes. But we hope, you guys can all join us in the Substack streets, do some bets, and let's win together. This isn't best ball where we're trying to be top 2 in a pod. Let's freaking beat the books and win together here. All right, we're coming back up, Steve. We could go for one of the top tight ends if you want to do that. Okay, McBride goes to Mike. Good pick there. Do you want to go Kittle?
Yeah, let's go Kittle.
Okay, let's go Kittle, and then we'll be done at tight end, TBD and done at receiver. Where do you want to go with the running back pick? Do you want to pull up James Conner? I kind of like him better than the other ones.
Let's pull up Conner.
I mean, I know he could theoretically come back to us, but
probably
he won't.
What's quarterback like?
I mean, we don't have a stack, but Burrow or Mayfield, we don't have either of the stacks, unfortunately.
Yeah. Let's just do Conner.
I'm kind of fine with that. I want to get one of the, because I had, Chase Brown, CMC, JT, Bucky, they're all gone. So let's do James Conner. I'd like to get one of the top running backs on my list. Obviously it went very heavy running back first round. No surprise, Chase Brown in the second round. So yeah, I'd like to get getting James Conner makes me feel good there. That way, if we still could go third receiver, even though we talked about the 70% more optimal for running back, or we could get a second running back like a Kamara or Ford or something like that. So
yeah,
I feel
I'd still go second running back.
Yeah.
The only way we would have gone a third receiver is if instead of taking Kittle, we just did Higgins Burrow there, but otherwise it wouldn't make any sense.
Oh, now you're right. Now that I'm seeing that, do you have regrets? Maybe we should have done Higgins Burrow.
No, because honestly, you could give me the top 3 receivers and not be able to take a first round running back, and I would still choose like I could have my option of the 3 earliest receivers, and I would still pass on the third one for a running back just about every time.
Well, there's still some good running backs there. Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara. If you wanted to scroll down, like a Kenneth Walker, Travion Henderson, if you wanted to like stack May, which I don't feel like you have to. Obviously, Purdy is a stack for us. These are our last 2 picks. Lawrence is a stack. So where did you want to go here with our last 2?
Let's do a quarterback first. I'm fine either way. I'd probably go Lawrence though.
Okay. Do you think he's less drafted than, or is he pretty much getting drafted every time?
I think he's drafted almost every time.
Okay.
Or there's sometimes he's not.
Yeah, because they have similar ADPs. Okay, so you'd rather go Lawrence over Purdy. We have a stack for both. Yeah. Okay. So we go Lawrence. So
if we want to scroll down, I think Ford would be the play.
I just don't like. I don't know. I'll let you call if you want to do Ford.
Let's do Ford because I don't love the idea of taking 2 running backs from the same game.
Oh, okay. All right. That works. All right. All right. So we end up with Trevor Lawrence, James Conner, Jerome Ford as our scroll down option, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., and George Kittle. I like it. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, no, it's and I know that one of the issues that blocks us out is by taking Neighbors with not having a quarterback to stack with versus say, like Evans or London there. It does thin you out a little bit. But we still had a couple stack options. We could have taken May unstacked, obviously. Just something to keep in mind for people.
I was thinking May too, but we had 2 stack options. So I like what we did there. Let's check out Mike's team before we head over to the FanDuel Sportsbook streets for Thursday night football props and parlays. So Mike went Kyler Murray, Jonathan Taylor, who was on our short list, obviously, in that round 1. So nice pick there. Josh Jacobs, which I like a lot. Apparently, I heard him on Kay Adams. He's only like a little over 100 yards away from some record. So who knows? He said he had to get in the coach's ear, but that could be interesting. Nico Collins, T. Higgins, and Trey McBride stacked with Kyler Murray. Like that team a lot, Mike. No complaints there. That team looks very, very nice. Let me get to chat, Steve, before we head over to the FanDuel Sportsbook streets. We will be switching to Thursday night football props and parlays. Let's see here. So Eddie, which fan are you a fan of? Ravens losing to the Browns cost me a parlay that would have won $14K. That was the only game I got wrong. Oh, wow. Holy moly. Yeah, I don't do much of the money line parlays, but every now and then I'll have fun with that where I'll do like a big like money line parlay or something like that. But that's wild. Cooler says, nice, jokes aside, I was interested to hear the 2 you say what you liked the best BR draft capital strategy for this week. Yeah, I definitely like a lot of the running backs. So I definitely like 1-2-2-1 as far as draft capital. As we talked about, I don't mind scrolling down for like a Drake May type or kind of one of those receivers. I love those running backs though, but I didn't mind that the Ford is one of the scroll down that makes sense. Mike says, is it crazy to go bully tight end in 1 or 2 if you're doing like 30? I mean, if you're doing a lot, but I don't like the bully tight end. I think the numbers don't bear out that's very optimal. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, no, like you need them both to have just ultimate ceiling games because we're just competing against so many viable running backs, so many viable receivers, and receivers are already at a disadvantage. And it's like, look at the receivers who weren't taken, or like we could have viably taken like T. Higgins as our flex option, and the odds that 2 of those top 3 elite tight ends are going to outscore, like the T. Higgins of the world is just not likely that often.
Yeah, and you're talking specifically for Battle Royale. I think on the short slates, like the primetime slates, that's different because you could have a nuanced situation where the tight ends, the running backs are like very thin or something like that, or the receivers get super thin. On that, you definitely could do bully tight end, but on the full slate battle royale, I don't see myself doing it. Go Easy says, is JMC or CMC and JT your 1-2 rank? I think so. For me personally, you can answer that more, Steve, while I pull up FanDuel. For me, Connor, Bucky, and Chase Brown are very close, but CMC and JT are probably. You want to elaborate on that? While I pull up FanDuel.
Yeah, no, I think they are, to me, the 1-2. I mean, Chase is right there, but CMC and JT are my 1-2. Not that I think there's anything wrong with like Bijan or some of the other early running backs, but those two backs, I think they're going to be in winning game formats. And I think both teams are going to just heavily rely on them. And, we saw, I think that Jonathan Taylor does his best work with the quarterback who can this is why they kept saying, need to be consistent. Move the ball, let JT get his 25 touches. And it's the same with CMC. Like they want to get the ball in his hands as many ways and as creative ways as possible. So I think any week they're both live for like 30-point games.
All right, off to the the FanDuel Sportsbook we go for Thursday night props and parlays. A little SGP action here, and I agree with Coolers here. He likes paying up for the tight ends in the Battle Royale format this week. Wants 50% combined exposure on McBride, Bowers, Kittle, but max 1 per lineup. I think that makes a ton of sense, Coolers. Yeah. Okay. Here it is. It's NFL kickoff. You didn't hear my spiel earlier because we had tech difficulties. Shocker. But you hear it now. Thursday night football, props, parlays. This is honestly in season is my favorite, has become my favorite ever since sports betting went legal in Maryland. You can obviously, if you're in a state that doesn't, allow sportsbook, but does allow pick'ems on Underdog or Prize Picks or anything like that. But you could do an Underdog pick'em slip, turn it into the same thing. So this is my favorite, Steve. It's NFL kickoff. I'm like a kid on Christmas morning. So we've got Dallas versus the Super Bowl champions, Philadelphia Eagles. Total is 48.5. Spread 8.5. Philly is favored by 8.5. Let's first just start to contextualize this. How do you see this game going tonight?
I think the Eagles just keep it going.
I do too.
They're at home. They're just so well built. They're so well coached. They lost a few pieces here or there, but they had a good draft and off season to replenish. The coaches they got are guys who I think are just going to be just fine. I don't think they're going to change anything. We know it's Barkley. We know it's Hurts. We know they have two very, very damn good receivers and a quality tight end. Whose biggest knock is that he's not consistently healthy, but he should be out there this week. So their O-line, it might be slightly down from last year, but it's going to still be one of the best in the league. And that defense, again, slightly down from last year, but probably one of the best in the league. So I think at home with everything going on, I think, and the Cowboys, just the turnover of losing Micah Parsons a week before the season, that, I know Dak and others can say good for Micah, we're happy for him, we're going to go win. You can say it all you want, but that's going to be a chemistry blow to the team. And good luck trying to stop the Eagles without Micah Parsons. Yeah,
no, I have to agree with you. I think Eagles should win easily. I do think we could get some garbage time, statistics similar to what, they were just absolutely rolling the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and Patrick Mahomes still got 3 passing touchdowns. And I forget, he racked up a bunch of yards, obviously, in the second half. So as far as like Dak's yards, Dak's touchdown prop, I think I still have some interest there. Not if it was a first half bet, but when you're talking about full game, that's all that matters. And so I still think that could be an interesting way to approach this because, all the Eagles lines are big. You and I talked about this pre-show, like with running quarterbacks, like honestly, all the running quarterbacks, but like a Josh Allen, Hurts, they could run for 80 yards or 20 yards and their line's around 40. So it's like, I really don't, unless I have like a strong lean that like this is one where he's going to have to take off and run a ton. I don't
Yeah.
know that I really feel comfortable going down that road. Obviously, Saquon's line is massive, and rightfully so. Is he a smash play today? Yeah, I think so. I built one showdown lineup. And by the way, showdown content, I obviously recommend throwing it over to the Flannelverse. Our guy, Neil Warfield, does some of the best showdown content in the biz. So definitely check out Neil's channel, Flannelverse, for any showdown content. But I did one lineup, and I have Saquon in the captain. I think I did another lineup with Hurts in the captain, and then, made it work from there. But yeah, I think a lot of the Eagles lines are really, really big. I do agree. Andrew put out early in the week, he likes Saquon's longest rush. Let's see what it is now. Fortunately, I don't think on FanDuel that you can put that in parlays, but just out of curiosity, I want to see what his longest rush is now. Yeah, it went up 2 yards. It was 19.5 on, I want to say, Monday or Tuesday. It's now 21.5. Honestly, I still don't mind that. He was Mr. Longest Rush last year. I think he hit his longest rush prop like 70% of the time last year. So something in the range. I mean, he just had so many explosive runs. So definitely think you could go there as well. But just like, let's go first to the fun market here, Steve. Let's talk touchdowns. I'll pull up the touchdown tab, and let's talk first touchdowns first, obviously. So we talked about how the game we think is going to go. Let's talk first touchdowns, anytime touchdowns, and then we'll get into other maybe all props we might approach. And again, we will send this to what we officially land on and bet ourselves. We will send to our Substack stubs probably by 6 o'clock or immediately within a half hour after this show ends. So as far as first touchdowns, of course, it's most likely that Hurts or Saquon will have the first touchdown, but you're basically getting that at around 4-1, plus 380 for Saquon, plus 450 for Hurts. So first touchdown of the game of the 2025 season. Yeah, it's most likely going to be one of those two, but let's have some fun. A longer shot. Who do you think scores the first touchdown tonight? Because everybody else is 10-1 or longer. Essentially, AJ Brown's 9-1.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to get away from those two.
Yeah, that's a cool question.
I would like if you want to have some fun with it, I would probably say AJ Brown, the plus 900. He's always got a good touchdown upside. And I don't think the Cowboys match up well against him. I don't hate looking at it from the Dallas side of Lamb, just the same way. Like, Lamb is just so talented. So those are higher guys, but I'd go AJ Brown. I think the Eagles are going to score first. So,
all right. So again, we think it's probably going to be Saquon and Hurts, but if you want to go outside of that, Steve goes AJ Brown. I'll go a little further down the road. I'll give two just absolute long shots. One, maybe it's just the Philadelphia defense. They scored a defense in the touchdown. Maybe they just keep that rolling. And the first touchdown is Philly defense, 30-1. Or we go to Jake Ferguson, who didn't get any touchdowns last year, but didn't have Dak, for basically most of the year. Maybe they connect right away and you get it at 18-1. You could also look Dallas Goedert 15-1. So I think approaching with like the tight end touchdown early is a way to get like some fun, longer odds. But yeah, what do I actually think is going to happen? I actually think it's going to be Hurts or Saquon, who in the Super Bowl, remember, was almost the guy we traded. Dotson almost got in. What is Dotson at here? I just have to look. 40-1. So if you think, he rolls back from what he did in the Super Bowl, gets a long pass from AJ or from Hurts and actually gets in this time and doesn't fall into one, he's 40-1. So you could look that way too. So, okay, Steve, now let's talk anytime touchdown. Obviously you have Saquon and Hurts juiced minus 196, minus 148, obviously shop around. CeeDee Lamb plus 162, AJ Brown plus 164, Devonta Smith plus 200. And then you've got the Dallas guys, 2-1 for Javonte, plus 250 Pickens. The tight ends are around 3-1. I honestly don't love it. I do usually love like anytime touchdown bets, but to me, it's like maybe I do something like Saquon Barkley 2 touchdowns or Hurts 2 touchdowns with like one of the Dallas players or something like that. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think Saquon Barkley is going to get in the end zone. So I know multiple sites have like odd odd improvements for that or ways that you can. So that'd be one way to do it. I also think like betting his 2 touchdowns is fair as well.
He had 3 the first game last year. So.
Yeah, I mean, dude is incredible. So you know, I would maybe kind of do
not even 3-1 to score 2.
Yeah, but it's also still very likely.
Yeah.
Like I would rather bet his 2 touchdowns than
Javonte won.
Yeah, Javonte won. Honestly, George Pickens won. Like it's not a great matchup for him. You know, maybe it happens in garbage time, but it's just a lot of maybes.
Yeah.
So
yeah. The Cooler says AJ Brown was the actual first touchdown bet he placed at 9 plus 950. Yeah. There we go. Lockstep there, like that. So this isn't one where a lot of island games will throw out like a touchdown parlay. I don't know that I will be for this one. Because a lot of times what I like to do is if I really think the game has a strong chance of going under, I'll do like a few touchdowns and the under. And you'll know watching these shows, watching our prop party again every Friday, 4 p.m. It will be on tomorrow, talking just props, anytime touchdowns, parlays for the whole Sunday slate. You'll see, and what I send out as far as we send out as far as our slips and stuff on Substack. We do a lot. We hit it on Black Friday last year. We hit multiple of them last year where any of those anti-correlated, whether it's a touchdown bet and then you do like the under, or if you do like, say in this game, if you actually thought Dallas was going to win, you do Philly props in the Dallas money line. We did a like all Chiefs props and the Raiders spread last year on Black Friday, and obviously Raiders covered the spread. They almost beat the Chiefs on Black Friday. Hit that for like a big like 29-1. Was really, really fun sweat. So I love those anti-correlated bets because it just like the books can't handle it and it just juices like skyrockets the odds. So usually we will do a lot of like touchdown parlays. This is not a game where I really, really love that. But we covered first touchdowns. We still covered ways to approach anytime touchdown. I'll probably sprinkle on Saquon's 2 touchdowns, maybe Lamb. You know, because you're getting plus odds there. And of all the Dallas Cowboys to score, I think Lamb is the most likely, and you're getting plus 162. So we talked about anytime touchdown, first touchdown, talked about the way we think this game's going to go. We talked about Saquon's longest rush. It has gone up. So note that it was 2 yards lower earlier in the week. So what other props or alts are you liking, Steve?
So it's tough from the Cowboys side just because even in garbage time, it might not even be some of the starters, you know, like Jalen Tolbert might get a touchdown, that kind of thing, Turpin, that kind of stuff. So I do want to attack, just go for some of the Eagles stars. And yeah, you can't push them too high because they're already high lines, but just say, yeah, we're betting the Eagles to win and to be good. So let me target Saquon's line. I think you can do it like his receiving is one way to do Saquon. He doesn't catch the ball a lot, but that's a little lower. Or you could just, you know, put his rush at like 120 and just say he's the most dominant back in the league. And, you know, last year with Tanner McKee at quarterback, he had 140 rushing yards against them.
Yeah. Oh, was that week 18 or was that the week 17?
Week 17. Yeah.
Okay, that's right. That's the game I was sweating out because I had Saquon in both my marathon and my Bulldog, and I was like pouting at the first, but he ended up getting 100 yards. What is his rush receiving line? I was just looking for that.
I saw it earlier.
It's 113. That gives you multiple outs.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably lean just the rush just because that is the majority. Like, what's his 120 at? I saw it earlier before we jumped on.
His alt rush receiving alt.
He's just rushing alt.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, the alts are just a little all over the place. So let me just scroll to that. That is here. Well, you get plus 102 at 100.
Yeah.
Rudy's losing his mind. Plus 148 at 110 and plus 240 at 125. So.
Yeah. So I mean, I honestly like hitting those 3, like in a mini ladder. And I know it's tough, to get that high, but we also know Saquon has that ability. And even if you don't want to go to the 125, I think hitting him at 100, hitting him at 110 are very fine clicks.
Yeah, I usually don't like going for the massive lines but I mean, this is a spot where he absolutely can. And I totally get it. Coolers makes a good point. Another anti-correlated, you could do like the touchdowns, the under, you could do, one team's props and the other team's side or spread. You can also do, and I pulled up Pickens because he's one that could get like only 3 catches, but 60 yards, something like that. Anti-correlated books can't. Yeah, I think I did that for Pickens, and I think it turned out like a little over 5-1. How great would it be? We got our guy Tim D in here. Great to see you in here. How great would it be if Dak started the season throwing 450? I mean, it was fun a couple years ago. They were so pass heavy, and that's what I think this year is going to be too. I think they're going to have to be tonight. So let's look at Dak's props. For sure. Again, he could get there mostly in garbage time, just like Mahomes did in the Super Bowl last year. But hey, that still counts. But they were so pass happy. I remember 2 years ago, when his last full healthy season, when he finished QB 3 or 4, he, his like 300 yards and 3 touchdowns felt live almost every single week. So you're getting even money at 250 for Dak. I like that. Obviously, if you laddered it up higher, plus 178 for 275 and 3-1 for 300 yards. So I do think that's interesting if you're just talking about pure, like, okay, they have to go in YOLO mode, basically, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, Steve, so my favorites that I'm looking at, let me give you, because I do like to try attack the lower hanging fruit sometimes for certain games. Again, I see a case with Dak. I see a case with Saquon's rushing. I see a case with Dak's passing just because of game script. I think, Saquon, they're going to be up and Saquon can bust off some long runs. So we like his longest rush, like his 100 yards, like Dak for 250, probably more in the second half. But I do like attacking lower hanging fruit. There was a quote in the last week about like, with the new offensive coordinator, just getting the ball in Saquon's hands in space. That reverse jump he did last year was on a pass. So maybe they do a little more. I don't know that he has to do the reverse spin move every time. You get 15 even money for 15 plus receiving yards. That's really interesting. The other question I had for you is, how much do we think Javonte gets active in the receiving game? Because I think Javonte, I've targeted his receiving before. And again, if we think they're not going to be able to run the ball effectively, I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball effectively all year. But if we don't think they're going to be able to run the ball effectively today, and we don't, it's not like Jaden Blue, he's coming off an injury. Do you see Javonte getting similar to what he did in Denver and getting involved in the passing game? Because you get plus 112 for Javonte, 15 plus receiving.
Yeah, I don't mind the 15 plus. It's not something I think I'd ladder up more beyond that because we just don't know. Like Blue will probably get a little work. Sanders will get a little work. And then Javonte. Yes, Javonte was Denver, the way Denver approached it. But it's not like he was super efficient. Like he had almost as many targets as, like an Alvin Kamara and Bijan, and just was nowhere near their efficiency.
But do you think Dallas will try to use him in that way?
That's my point is, yes, he can catch the ball well, but it's not like he is showing himself to be some elite receiving back that Dallas, I don't know how they'll look at it. It's tough to know because there were so many injuries in the Dallas backfield throughout camp and throughout the preseason. And they didn't really play their starters. So I think the 15 is fine, but it's just not something I think laddering up makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
He could end up having like 7 targets. He could have 2.
Right. And then the other one I actually really like is, okay, so I think Dallas's implied total is 16.5, something, give or take. I don't think they're scoring a defensive touchdown, and I don't think they're getting on the ground. It's not like Dak's like a Lamar, Josh Allen, Jane Daniels type that we can run in like you used to some. So I think if they do score a couple touchdowns, I think it's coming in the air. Well, guess what? You get plus odds for 2+ passing touchdowns, plus 108 for Dak. I think we start there. We build every, show. We're going to build a, Thursday night, Monday night, same game parlay. Let's build an SGP. Let's start there, Steve. And then honestly, I love these like low hanging fruit type bets. Did you want to throw in Saquon, Javonte receiving and see what that gets us at?
Yeah, let's start there.
All right. So if you did 15 for Javonte, would you do 15 even money for Saquon, or do you feel confident in him laddering him higher? I'm trying to see how often. Let me pull up Saquon's stats last year and just see how often he hit over 15 or 20 passing yards. Why can I not type? So what do you think about Saquon's receiving?
I think just doing the 15. The issue with Saquon is the targets probably maybe let's be honest, they should be there more, but maybe they won't. It's does he break a couple big tackles,
Right. Yeah, I was looking last year in the postseason. He did 2 out of 3 of the postseason, 2 out of 4 of the postseason games. He had 25 and 47, and the other 2 were 4. So it's kind of like it's going to be under or over. He had, in the regular season, dating back to, that was the Brazil game. He had 23 that first game. I remember one was the receiving touchdown. Remember that wasn't his first Eagles touchdown, I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So he started off hot, 23, 21. Over 20. He had 1, 2, 3. He had 6. He had like a stretches of like a lot of them. And yeah, it either is like, 23 to 50, or it's like 7 or 10, so
one thing to keep in mind is last year the Eagles for most of the year did not have at least one of Brown, Smith, or Goddard for most of the season. Yeah.
So I mean, if you throw on just Saquon, it's not very exciting. Is there anything else you wanted to put in this particular parlay?
I mean,
I don't mind especially talking low hanging fruit like Ferguson or Goddard, but what do you think?
Well, this isn't low hanging fruit, but honestly, another thing that the books, because yes, you could do rushing, receiving, but if you do somebody's rushing and their receiving,
does that
generally get a little bit of a bump?
Okay. Yeah. So if you do it separately, so it's saying Saquon's going to have 100 plus rushing, 15 plus receiving. That's 13 to 1. If you take that out and just did 115, I'm just curious the difference. What did I just say? 13 to 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just see what it does. Well, his line is 113. So it's 5 to 1, or almost 6 to 1. So do you just want to do that? Saquon smashes in a couple different ways. Dak 2 plus touchdowns, Javonte 15 plus yards.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you could approach it in a couple other ways with like Hurts add in a rushing touchdown or something like along those lines. But no, I think we should have a couple bets on Saquon.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even think about that being another anti-correlated way to approach it, saying instead of saying rush receiving, we're going to say he goes 100 plus rushing and 15 plus receiving. So did you want to try that?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to use my boost on this one because FanDuel has a no sweat token and a boost. So we'll take it up from 1,300 to 1,900. And really, we're just saying Saquon crushes, but it gets at least 100 rushing and 15 plus receiving. Javonte gets 15 plus receiving, and Dak throws for 2 plus touchdowns. So I got the 50% boost in, and 10 to win 196. That would be fun. So that will be one of the bets we send. Some of these we will send what we officially bet individually, and this and probably another parlay or two for tonight to have our first sweats together. Maybe I'll throw this one out since we did it here on the show. I'll throw it out to Twitter as well, but everything else, all our other bets will be sent to our Substack in the next, probably by 6:15. So Steve and I will be talking it through right after this. But Steve, this has been fun. Our first Degen Power Hours. I'm going about an hour and a half. First few minutes were a little bumpy, but we got there. We covered DFS, DraftKings, Underdog, Battle Royale, and of course, the Thursday night football props and parlays. NFL is here. NFL kickoff tonight. Everybody enjoy, have fun. Hopefully you can, tail us on this bet and many others this season so we can win together. But Steve, this has been a ton of fun. Final thoughts for the people.
Yeah, no, I just thank everyone for joining, liking this episode, asking questions, getting through our tech issues at the beginning. And yet just absolutely looking forward to such a fun, exciting NFL season.
Yep, absolutely. Tim, you guys are the best too. We appreciate all of you. Substack subs, look for an email in the next hour with our Thursday Night Football bets. Again, programming note tomorrow, 4 p.m. prop party. It'll be every Friday at 4 p.m. going through all the props and anytime touchdowns and parlays that we really like for the Sunday slate. And then Degen Dads, that's Andrew and Justin, tomorrow night, 9:30 p.m. They're covering every side of the NFL betting. We've got you all covered here on the Fanspeak Network. For Steve, I'm Meg. Good luck tonight, and we will see you next time.